Hey everybody, welcome back inside another exciting episode of the Stash Report from Stash Project. Today is October 7th, 2019. Just a few things today. A couple of additional kits added to the Aoshima pile for December, and then we have this week's kit releases, which this week really should be known as the Week of Wheels. Because wait, do you see how many sets of wheels Aoshima has reissued this week? So, speaking of those December Aoshima kits, these are going to be reissues from the More Grand Champions series, which of course is the uh, very bazooka style type vehicles. There were, I believe, 16 More Grand Champions, and then there were some special editions. The special editions have not been reissued back from earlier, be earlier this year and late last year when they were running the Grand Champions and More Grand Champions series. So there's four more that had actually, again, had not been reissued again in the most recent reissue, which means that these four kits have not seen the light of day in about 17 years. So I'm going to just flash them up on the screen real quick because you guys would have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about otherwise. A couple of these things were at Shizuka on display, and then it sort of peters out to the fact that we just have box art for the one of them. So anyway, they are the reissue of the Japan, as it's known, four-door special. Now this is going to be a early 80s C110 Skyline four-door. And then you have the Ken and Mary, which is a 1970s Skyline four-door, and then a 130 Laurel. So this would be a first-gen Laurel, and then a 330 Cedric, so it's the third gen Cedric. So those specific kits will be coming back again. Long time no see if you're into that type of thing. So we have three kits on the domestic side of things, and then there's actually basically four kits out of Hasegawa that are reissues, and then all those wheels. So let's take a look at the domestic things first, obviously, and they are all, well, I should say all. Say all from AMT, but they're all from round two AMT, one MPC. So the MPC kit is actually from this month, from October, an early release, and it is this, the 1974 Plymouth Roadrunner reissue. I believe that the Auto World store has the best description of this as being the evergreen muscle car. I might argue the muscle car nature of a smog-choked 440 in 1974, but be that as it may, this is basically a reissue of the Roadrunner kit that came in the collector's tin in 2012. Also the same kit, basically, that is, of course, Daisy Duke's car from the Dukes of Hazzard that was reissued in 2009. Beyond putting pad-printed wheels into this, which may have actually been in the collector's tin. Not a lot of people bought the collector's tin because of how much more expensive it was. But I'm pretty sure that the decal sheet you saw there was just a reprint of the decal sheet from the collector's tin, which is nice because it gives you the stripes in multiple colors. You're not just stuck painting it a color that you put the white stripes on. There's also red stripes and black stripes there. And then, beyond that, it looks like everything else is, pretty much what it is. They actually do have the Roadrunner licensing, I would assume, since the Roadrunner on the trunk and the hood is shown on the box art. So I don't know if those are, I don't believe those are actually engraved into the body. I think those actually got taken off a while ago when they did not have the license for the Roadrunner, because the Roadrunner itself is licensed through Warner Brothers at this point. At least the little bird figure is. So there's that. And then over on the AMT side of things, these are kits from actually the end of last month. So these are the last of the September releases from round two. First up, you have this, the 1963 Chevy Impala hardtop. This is the new improved 63 Impala. It's got a new bunch of new parts in it, new radiator, new master cylinder, new firewall, several little bits and pieces to upgrade the engine compartment over the very Spartan nature of it being sort of a craftsman kit that had an engine stuck into it type of deal. Or this may have been a promo that had the engine stuck into it. I can't remember exactly what the lifespan history on this one is. I have one of the AMT Ertl releases from the early 1990s, and it's not anything to write home about. Those parts are definitely appreciated, but again, it is that same kit from the olden days. It does have a couple of the advanced custom parts retooled into it, so you can do that weird, very angular, oddball custom if you so choose. You got pad printed white walls in there and a few other things. So not a bad reissue. I mean, it's not a kit I think a lot of people were necessarily running out the door to go buy necessarily, but If you're gonna reissue something that's, you know, been done a dozen times and is old like this, hey, throw in some new parts in there to, you know, sort of improve it a little bit. That's something I can get behind. And then the other kit is something that I'm sure not a lot of people can get behind, but we're going to deal with these all year long and probably well into next year as well as this. It is the reissue of the 1940 Ford sedan delivery with the Coca-Cola livery. Yes, yes, another Coke kit, and they're going to keep coming, guys. No amount of whining is going to stop it. So obviously, this is the same old 40 sedan delivery. Absolutely nothing new about this that has not been in any of the last past kits. You do get this bonus display that they show. It's basically a background of the box art so that you can stick your car on there. There's a couple different variations of the Coca-Cola uh, logos and liveries that I'm not sure necessarily are period correct for 1940, but be that as it may, they're in there. And as I point out, whenever people complain about these reissues, you don't have to put the Coca-Cola decals on them. It's not a requirement. Nobody's going to come to your house and take it if you don't. So, I mean, some of the kits are I understand are like rapid reissues of things that have just come out recently, just with this Coke livery. Some of them, you know, it's been a little while since they've been out, so it's, you know, not too terribly bad. Um, there's something that's coming out next month. I can't think of what kit it is off the top of my head. It is the Western Star. The Western Star that's going to have the Coke livery that's coming actually out this month. And like that Western Star, it's been long enough that kit is no longer like on frontline retail. The thing I always try to explain to people with reissues, because, you know, look, nobody likes reissues, especially if you have a lot of model kits. You don't buy a whole heck of a lot of reissues, so it's sort of a waste, so to speak. But Round 2, Revell, whoever, they don't make any money when those kits aren't actually in vendors. They aren't in Hobby Lobby. Your local hobby shop may or may not keep stock. Mine has reissues of things that are five reissues ago, and they have all 5 of those reissues sitting there. But, you know, your frontline retail stores, your frontline like online vendors that are going to blow stuff out so that they're not carrying around a lot of stock, like your Tower Hobbies, your model roundups, and things like that. If those, you know, the kits aren't in those places, then Round 2 and Revell don't make any money from them. You know, I mean, you could tell me, and it's true, that you can find 10 of those 40 sedan deliveries for $10 at any model show, but, you know, Round 2 ain't making no money off that $10. I mean, they made their money off the $10 back when it sold, but they're not making any of it now. Of course, that's also the whole joke that model shows don't actually make anybody any money. Money just changes hands, and model kits just move around. Nobody actually ever profits at a hobby show. But be that as it may, we're gonna go over to the Japanese side of things here. We're gonna go through the kits first, and then we'll go through plow through the wheel sets. A couple of straight direct reissues that are, you know, just restocking the shelves, so to speak. You have from Hasegawa, all 4 of these Hasegawa. You have the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3. This is the streetcar version, obviously not the rally version. So that's back out there. And then also you have a reissue of the BMW 320i. These keep saying limited edition on them, then they keep reissuing them, which makes me wonder how limited the edition really is. But be that as it may, if you were looking for one of these, because there are a whole bunch of trans kits and parts and pieces and stuff like that for these now, you have another opportunity. Some kits that are newer-ish. This kit is not newer-ish. This is a restock, just sort of the same sort of putting it back on the shelf thing, but there's a little bit of a difference this time. And it's just the Jaguar XJR8 rather, Sprint type. So this is sort of the IMSA version of the kit. The long tail is the one they ran at the 24 Hours of Lawns. There is a set of decals that are also done with this, which we'll show you in half a second here, to put all the silk cut logos and livery back into this, because this kit in the past has never had that. The long tail, the IMSA car, has silk cut decals. They're not mentioned on the box art. They're not mentioned in any description of the kit. But when you buy the kit, the silk cut things are on a separate piece of decal sheet. For some reason like that makes it any better. But in this kit, I guess they're putting the decal sheet in here, the new one they just created, from the looks of things, because at least from the images I'm seeing of this, the silk cut livery is actually in this kit. So I'm assuming that this set of decals right here, which has the silk cut stuff back put back into it is for people who maybe have an older version of the kit that do not have the silk cut liveries in it, or maybe you like to buy a backup set of decals. That's always an option as well. Maybe there's something about this set of decals that I don't know enough about, that I don't realize that, oh, well, James, this is a very specific version of blah, blah, blah. I don't know. There's not enough really information about it when they're displayed. They're just sort of like, hey, look, this set of decals comes with a hanger tag. Obviously, this is silk cut because you can see a little square there in the middle had the silk cut logo on it. All of the wording is buried in another decal sheet behind it because that makes it all better. I really just do not understand the idea behind the tobacco livery of it being good, bad, or indifferent when, if we hide it, it's okay. All right, sure. Okay. I'm sure it's going to keep kids from smoking. Not that seeing a silk-cut Jaguar would make them smoke in the first place. They'd be like, what's that funny-looking car? No connection to that. The other reissue this month, and this is a new set of decals thrown into an older kit, is this 1991 Japanese sports car prototype series Mazda 767B. Reading it backwards for some reason. This is the Navi Connection, dare I say, Autorama version. This is a privateer entry in 1991. Of course, in 1991, most of the Mazdas have been switched over to the 787, right? Thinking, am I completely losing my mind here? Yeah, the 787, babe. Look at my Group C kits. So there's still some 767s floating around at that point. This is actually Ford powered, of all things. And it was entered into, I think, the last 2 rounds of the 1991 season. So it was just a privateer car tossed into a couple races. The decals, I don't have pictures of them in front of me, in the sense that for some reason they weren't scanned into the stuff at Hobby Search. But from looking at the instructions, it looks like you have to paint the fluorescent orange parts, obviously the mirrors, but also the winglets and the entire bottom part of the bodywork has to be painted that fluorescent orange. And then it looks like the black part is a decal, so that stripe is a decal. And then everything else beyond that really isn't too much of a problem because it's all just basically a white car. There's a little bit of a black logo in front of the windscreen, and then the roof is black. But again, you're probably going to have to mask the roof off, I'm going to imagine, if I remember the instruction sheet right. But this is the same 767B kit has always been. It's a curb size, pretty basic. There's a little bit of transaxle detail in the back, and otherwise it's a pretty basic curb side. And that'll take us over to Aoshima in the wide world of wheels. Quite a few things here. Last month's wheel sets, so these are actually not even... I think these are September's wheels. Yes, September's wheels. The 3 18-inch BBS sets. So you have the BBS Type DTM, the BBS Type RS2, which was, I guess technically these are 17-inch rims, and the BBS Type RG. Now I'm going to guess that you probably need to take a caliper out and see if they're actually 17-inch or 18-inch. I'm going to guess they probably could do both. And then we go into this month's wheels here in October. You have the Truno 11 wheels, basically what these are. These are the 16-inch wheels that come out of those, the 8086 kits. So you have the Watanabe 8 spokes, the P1 racing wheels. Always funny because the P1 wheel here is a 5 lug when obviously the car is a 4. The wheels are a 4 in the box, but don't let the box art get you thinking you're going to get a 5 lug. You're not. You get the Volk Racing TA37 gravel wheels and the Suzuka Brain Longchamp XR4s. So those wheels are back out. And then also, these are another set of October wheels. You have the 14-inch wheels here. So you've got the Equip. Now, these things say short rim because they're not a deep dish as far as the wheel barrel and the wheel face. So you have the Equip wheels, the Super Shark, the Advan A3As, as well as the Mark IIIs. Now, there are deep dish versions of those. That's why there's a short rim on the box art there. But be it as it may, those are reissued wheels. All of them are reissued wheels. I don't think Aoshima's tooled up new wheel sets in quite some time, actually. Don't know if that's a licensing thing or they just, you're committing, obviously, to something when you're doing it. Because the wheel sets, we've explained this before, to cover it real quick once again. The wheel sets are tooled up in a piece of tooling that has all 4 of the wheel sets in the tooling. So it's very impractical to run just one wheel set out of there. That's why these things get reissued in groups of 3 or 4, is because they just run the tool and you get 4 sets of wheels out of it. So, it may just be a thing of like, what 4 sets of wheels do we want to, attach ourselves to? You know, a lot of these wheels are from the 1990s. A lot of the wheels are attached to other things, like those 16-inch wheels. They're all wheels that are part of the A86 11-inch Truno kits. If you buy enough of them, you'll get all 4 sets of those wheels. The 14-inch wheels, those ones, and all of the other ones that they reissued at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, all belong to the Grand Champions, more Grand Champions, still more Grand Champions series of kits. So they were tooled up specifically to supplement those kits, because those kits are old 1980s kits that, you know, have had just various pieces and parts added to them to turn them into other things over the course of the years. Those BBS rims are all from the early 1990s. They belong in your SEMAs. They belong in your some of your S-type Glorias and Cedrics and things like that. So, you know, again, they're not so much like, oh, you know, we decided to make a set of wheels, as much as it is we're going to do a series of kits. We're going to do these S-Tune, you know, sporty versions of the SEMA, the Gloria, the Cedric, back when the Gloria and Cedric were separate kits. And so we're going to tool up, you know, 3 sets of BBS rims that we can run and interchange within those kits as we reissue them. So, at any rate, that's a boring history lesson nobody asked for, and it is time for me to go to work. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.